Yeah. I know. I'm a little late today again. It's been busy at where I work, so I get home a little later than normal, and I couldn't get through the day without taking a shower. So I'm just, I'm fresh, I'm clean, my head looks shiny, even though I don't know why I started shaving my head again. I just did because I can't, people with beautiful heads like mine can afford to shave them. Anyway, we're here, we're queer, get used to it. Wait, that's not what I meant to say. Hello, welcome to the show. It's Woke Wednesday. I got some stories that are woke related. There we go, turn that up so I can hear myself. And, we're just gonna do what we do. And we'll do that after the intro. Johnny, play the intro, please. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. All right, and stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Wednesday, Woke Wednesday, and also known as Hump Day. It is Wednesday, right? Is it today Wednesday or Tuesday? What the hell is today? Tuesday was yesterday. Yeah, it's Wednesday. I got it right this week. And it's the 9th of June, 2021. It is the 608th episode of the Morning Night Live. I am quite happy that you've joined me today, and lots of people in the chat already. Good to see. Make sure you hit the like button sometime during the show. Share the stream out. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, you can figure that out down in the description or those little buttons that you clicked. It'll be all over the place. You'll know what to do. Anyway, happy Wednesday, or happy hump day, as that weird camel would say. Anyway, let's say good morning, everybody, and then we're going to just keep going, because got a lot of tabs open, so I should probably get to them. First in the chat today, here, let me unpin this so I can see what the hell I'm doing. First in the chat today was Advocatus Diablo. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, she can take a rickin' suckin' sackin' rack a sackin'. See, when you get here late, sometimes you forget to do certain things, and let me start over here a second. Welcome to the first person in our chat today would be Advocatus Diablo, who gets the bell. And thank you for being here. I gotta turn that up. That's weird. Is that just me here? No, that is this. Here, let me make this so you can hear it. Ah, that's more like it. Yes, thank you for being here, Advocatus Diablo. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, Infamous One is in the house. Also, Gunfox61, Jonathan Peterson. MC's here early. Hello.
Stop. Hammer time.
And also, good morning to Renee Mayette, Attack Alpaca, San, nice to see you. Also, Jim Beam, bringing a little bourbon to the... I should throw some of that in here. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? By the way, I do have my cup of reparations coffee. It's in the Resist Fascism cup, which you can get at the PDawgKnight store channel, which is PDawgKnight.live right here. Hit the merch tab in the upper right-hand corner. Also, good morning, Selecta Boy.
Yeah, boy.
Also, Don Keating, Gulf City Biker and Trash Man's in the house. Cracked is here. Good morning, Attack Alpaca. What up? Assassin of the Gray, who always links the show across the Discords. And thank you, sir. Also, Keenan, what's happening? Good morning also to All You Need. Hey, nice to have you back. I know your schedule's changed and whatever, and so you don't get here as often, but I love to see it when you're here. One of the early adopters of this show. I really appreciate you coming back. Also, good morning to DI Freighter Watcher, Justin Anderson. I think I'm running out of names here. Okay. Oh, Chef James, nice to see you back again, catching the show live. Fantastic. And Maddie's in the house. Nice to see you. And I'm sure Ronan's around there somewhere. We're in the hunt for breakfast, going through Texas on our way to California to deliver some stuff. Okay, well, there you go. That's why we got to make sure your horn's functioning, and the horn is functioning. Nice. Okay, that's okay, there you go. So that's everyone in the chat so far. Some of you are working, lurking, driving, thriving. Be sure to keep your eyes on the road, or whatever you do at work. Don't cause yourself any mishaps because of me. Just little old me. Speaking of little old me, I've lost like 15 pounds. I didn't even know it. I just got on a scale the other day, and I'm like, oh, I guess the summer's being good to me. Plus, we've had to change a lot of stuff. But anyway, so that's a good thing. I don't need Jim Beam, but I have a giant bottle of Irish cream liquor. Well, you know what? If it's that time of day, do your thing. You know what I mean? All right. So, oh gosh, yes, so true, Gunfox. Fill your tanks before you drive into California. It's insane, the gas prices there right now. I mean, I know they've gone up about 50 to 60 cents where I live. So we're still. Where I live, we're still like, you can still get gas at Sam's Club for like $2.75 a gallon, which is high compared to what it's been the last few years, but it's still lower than most places. But yeah, before you go into California, you better fill that tank. Holy smokes! Also, let's see. I have one of these. Quick thank you, Renee Mayette and Scribe Light for retweeting the show. I appreciate that. Also, and Maddie also tweeted out the show. Greatly appreciate that. Anyone who can just retweeting my tweet. You can follow me on Twitter. Mine's Gab Parler and Cloud Hub. If you're on one of those platforms, follow me there and just retweet or repost whatever I put up there, and then you don't have to think about it. Just it's already there, right? Anyway, let's see. Oh wow, you've been down 31 since June this year? Like in the last 9 days, or you talking about June last year? No, it has to be June last year. You're not gonna lose 30 in 9 days from June last year. Yeah, I am. Here's the thing. I got a Clash reunion coming up next year. So I got to start thinking about that. I got to go back looking healthy and suave and all that shit because, you want to impress your friends. Actually, my friends don't care. My friends, I have some great friends from high school that I talk to maybe once or twice a year. And every time you talk to them, it's like you were talking to them back when you were a kid. I'm very happy with the friends I have, and it'll be a good time. But yeah, my 40th freaking high school reunion next year. That's just sounds weird, man. I remember when my dad went to his 50th college reunion. And I was thinking, holy shit, that's such a long time. And I'm like, wait, 40 years. Oh my God. That's a long ass time. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to that. That's a year from now. Anyway, also good morning, Dawn Davis. Nice to see you, my friendly, a Minnesota person in the chat. Nice to see you. Thank you, Justin, also for tweeting out the show. Also, I see Jimmy from Philly's in the house. What's up, Mr. Wiped? Nice to have you here. Also, Patrice Ripley, the official PDawgKnight.live K-pop aficionado. Patrice Ripley, we appreciate you because, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't know what the hell I was talking about with the old K-pop stuff. Marty, if you get a chance, you should plan a visit to the U.S. Iowa class battleship. They are massive. We did when we were in San Francisco, or in California, I shouldn't say just San Francisco, but we were out on the bay. Well, first of all, in Long Beach, I've been on the Queen Mary because that's where my mother lives in Long Beach. But we were on there was a battleship that we did a tour of. It was a decommissioned battleship. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was in San Francisco. But pretty cool stuff if you ever go on those ships. I've toured submarines, I've toured battleships. I'd still like to go on an aircraft carrier sometime, but that's a whole different animal right there. Good morning, Molly Mags. What's happening? All right, let's get to the news today. Again, thanks everyone who's retweeting the show and tweeting it out and putting it on your social media. Hit the share arrow that's down here, and you just take a couple, pick your social media and a couple more clicks and send it out. So let's get into it's Woke Wednesday. We're gonna kind of do some woke stuff now. Interesting story that came out of that London County School Board in Virginia. They're in the news a lot lately because they just do a lot of crazy stuff, and it's kind of going back and forth between woke and not woke. And that's why I named the show Woke Not Woke, because it's Woke Wednesday, but sometimes you got to be woke and sometimes you don't. Well, in London County, Virginia, the school board has been forced to reinstate a teacher who was suspended for Christian speech on LGBT. Oh, good morning, Moonbase Radio, too. The 12th Judicial Circuit of Virginia is ordering the London County School Board of Virginia to immediately reinstate a gym teacher who was placed on leave after opposing transgender policies at the school board meeting last month. The court issued a temporary injunction on Tuesday, ordering the board to immediately reinstate gym teacher Byron Tanner Cross, who was suspended after he cited science and Christianity when opposing a draft policy that requires teachers to agree with children's claim they are members of the opposite sex. I love all my students, but I will never lie to them regardless of the consequences, Cross said in part at a London school board meeting in May. A court opinion by Judge James Plowman. There's a joke in there somewhere. Anyway, Judge James Plowman states that the plaintiff, Cross, contends his suspension was an act for retaliation following his exercise of his rights of free speech, in that 1, his speech was constitutionally protected, 2, the defendant's retaliatory action adversely affected the plaintiff's constitutionally protected speech, and 3, there was a casual relationship between the speech and the action. So here's what Judge Plowman continued. Yes, Tracy Lords, hello, there's a blast from the past. Yes. So he says whether the plaintiff's speech at the school board meeting was protected is determined by applying the standards set forth in Pickering versus the Board of Education. More specifically, was plaintiff speaking as a citizen on a matter of public concern, and do plaintiff's interest in speaking outweigh defendants in restricting the plaintiff? Here it is clear the plaintiff was speaking as a citizen, not in his official capacity. His speech was not conducted at his usual place of employment, occurred during non-working hours, and at a forum where public comment was invited. Plaintiff had to abide by the same process to speak as any other citizen, although this was not formally conceded by the defendants. Analysis of this was not argued. It is further apparent that the subject matter upon which the plaintiff spoke was one that can be described as a matter of public concern, the enactment of a school policy as it relates to transgender issues, as well as the expected conduct of staff and students within the public school system, falls squarely within this scope. Additionally, the defendants reference related school policies on the same subject matter, as well as Virginia statutes and federal law and policies enacted by elected legislators, by their very nature, invite public political discourse. They are on their face matters of public, political, and social interest. So the idea that a teacher in his off time they fired him at a school board meeting, not on his own time, public forum where the public's invited to speak, and he made his opinions known, and they fired him for his opinions. So good. I hope this holds up. And whether he ends up having to abide by policies he doesn't agree with is a whole nother matter. But the idea that he cannot speak his mind because he's a teacher, good for the judge. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Someone, Plowman, did you say? Plowman? No. Anyway, all right. Now, in another school woke, I got a lot of education issues today. I picked out kind of education stories to start with. A teacher, this is another teacher at another posh school that is quitting their job over critical race theory. An English teacher has resigned from a top New Jersey prep school that is using critical race theory to create a quote, hostile culture of conformity and fear, end quote, causing white and male students to believe they are oppressors, she said. Dana Stangel-Plow accused the Dwight Englewood School in Bergen County of forcing students and faculty to embrace a single set of beliefs, choking off free speech in the process. Quote, the school's ideology requires students to see themselves not as individuals, but representatives of a group, forcing them to adopt the status of privilege or victimhood. What does that sound like? It sounds like Marxism. Anyway, but as, let's see, forcing them to adopt the status of privilege or victimhood. She wrote in the letter to the school brass. As a result, students arrive in my classroom accepting this theory as fact. People born with less melanin in their skin are oppressors, and people born with more melanin in their skin are oppressed. Men are oppressors, women are oppressed, and so on, she continued. This is the dominant and divisive ideology that is guiding our adolescent students. A graduate of Cornell University and a published poet, Stengel Plow has taught English to high school students at Dwight Englewood since 2014. Her resignation letter and materials from the school were published on the website, the Foundation Against Intolerance and Racism, also known as FAIR, which was founded by a private school parent, Bayan, whatever that name is, Barting, earlier this year to combat critical race theory teachings in school and promote a post-human agenda. Pro-human, not post-human. That would be awful. And promote a pro-human agenda. Stengel Plow alleged that on 2 occasions in 2017 and 2018, head of school Rodney Jarnett told the entire faculty that he would fire us all if he could, so that he could replace us all with people of color. Well, that would be super woke now, wouldn't it? In 2019, the educator said she expressed concern about negative experiences among hostile and doctrinaire colleagues, but said her complaints fell on deaf ears. Well, because it's the new thing now. You can't buck a trend. Good Lord. As a result of the school's anti-racist teaching, she said her students have become obsessed with power structures and group identity. This is the problem with this. This fixation has stunted their ability to observe and engage with the full fabric of human experience in our literature. Students have become rigid and closed-minded, unable and unwilling to consider alternative perspectives. In our school, the opportunity to hear competing ideas is practically non-existent. Well, I think we've talked about this before, it's plaguing the nation. I gotta tell you, it is, and it's a whole new type. It's a new type of power grab that really is just not conducive to learning, not conducive to individual thought, not conducive to critical thinking. Even though it's called critical race theory or critical theory. Critical theory has been around for a long time. They've just added in the 60s, you started hearing about critical race theory. Basically, again, it's a form of Marxism. It really is. There's always someone who's downtrodden, oppressed, whatever, by whatever the power it be, and then there's always someone who's oppressed, and you're stuck in that group, and you cannot pull yourself from that group. The only way that you can change it is if the oppressed overtake the oppressors, and it's not conducive to good relations between human beings. Anyway, good morning, Moonbase Security. Nice to see you. And Moonbase Radio. Looks like everybody, I got the Moonbase covered. Nice to see you. All right, let's keep going here. All right. Is she a teacher? She is female. We must ask if she is bailing before we find out she was diddling a lad or 3. Well, that's okay. That's fair. Oh, wouldn't that be tragic if they found out that she was having an affair with a 14-year-old or something? That would suck. No, but good for her. Anyway, Mike LaChance, I know that name. In Texas, the medical school at the University of Texas at Austin will focus on health equity in its curriculum. Yay! And as I've said many a times, anytime you hear the word equity, run away. Run away. So what they're going to do, let's see. It has been clear for some time now that the left's implementation of social justice in higher education would eventually come for the hard sciences. At the University of Texas at Austin, Dell Medical School is now preparing to focus the curriculum on health equity. Runaway. Nicole Villapando reports at the Austin American-Statesman, Dell Medical School adds health equity as one of its primary focuses for students' curriculum. Now, if you're not sure what that means, just stick around. I'm sure they'll tell you here in the next paragraph. Beginning next year, Dell Medical School students will have a greater focus on health equity in their studies. The medical school at the University of Texas is adding an 8th focus of study, which it calls a core competency, to the curriculum. It joins other core competencies: leadership and innovation, patient care, medical knowledge, communication, practice-based learning and improvement, systems-based practice, and professionalism. Under the health equity core competencies, students will learn about the historical context of discrimination, how to recognize structural and social determinations of health, and structures of oppression within medicine. They will also learn how to identify their own biases and privileges. I can't even find anything to put on that one. Here, I want to put here. I'll just do this.
How dare you?
Whatever that meant. They will be taught how to advocate. I skipped a sentence. They will also learn how to identify their own biases and privileges, how to build relationships with a diverse group of people, and how to work with community-based partnerships. They will be taught how to advocate for inclusion and intervene when they see barriers, discriminations, biases, and microaggressions. Dr. Beth Nelson, Associate Dean of Undergraduate and Medical Education at the school, began looking at how to teach health equity when it opened in 2016, with a milestone in 2018 when it hired an Associate Dean of Health Equity. The Association of American Medical Colleges support the plan. Do you feel better knowing that your doctor may be able to identify biases and microaggressions in the future? I sure do. Here's an article they published. Let's look at this. Hello, Howard Welsh, PDawg. They've been already lowering passing grades for POCs to pass medical sciences. Worst one is air traffic controllers, but now that CRT is being taught to doctors, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, so they published this article, Medical Schools Overhaul Curricula to Fight Inequities, the need for physicians who understand health inequities and the impact of societal factors like racism has grown acutely clear in the last year, experts say. Experts. You always trust the experts, right? Always trust the experts. Particularly in light of the murder of George Floyd by police and the disparate impact of stupid 19 on black and brown communities. Now, I need to ask this question. I'm going to start asking this question on Twitter every time someone mentions George Floyd's name. Was George Floyd... was his interaction with the police and his death have anything to do with the color of his skin? I've yet to hear anyone make a good argument for that he had a police interaction and died because of the color of his skin. Can anybody make that argument in any form of way? And what does that have to do with your medical school? Nada. And they continue this article that they published. Increasingly, leaders in academic medicine are rejecting the educational status quo. Hi, Jedi Ghost Bear. Hi, why are you so angry? A passing mention or optional courses on these issues is not enough, they say. Instead, they are weaving content and experiences throughout their curricula to significantly boost awareness of social inequities and structural drivers of health. You know what the biggest structural driver of health is? The number one structural driver of health. Not structural as in what anyone else does, but what people do. I'm going to guess it's your diet, what you eat, and how you maintain your physicality. And that's not, there's no race to that. You know what I mean? There's certain traditions and food choices and things people make that might be related to who they are and what they've been around and how they grew up. But damn, this is just crazy. In 2018, only 40% of medical schools reported teaching about racial disparities. Because what are you trying to teach in medical school? Racial disparities in what? Oh, maybe diseases like sickle cell, that'd be one racial disparity. But that's a natural occurring racial disparity. Notes Lisa Housley, PhD, AAMC, Senior Director of Strategic Initiatives and Partnerships. Fortunately, a growing number of schools are working more intentionally to become anti-racist, either by creating new courses on expanding or threading new experiences into existing curricula. Oh my God. And then this woke medicine sounds just lovely. Clay Johnson says, we're saying you can't be a bystander. You can't just be passive. You need to actively work to disrupt the systems that continue to marginalize and oppress people. That's really powerful. Oh my God. All I care about is making sure the doctor knows how to take my appendix out. And I don't think the color of my skin really matters. Thank you, John. Hello, John Smith. I hope you're saying hi to Elizabeth Warren for me. Floyd wasn't murdered. Well, yeah, I'm in that camp too, John, but apparently in this, the University of Texas, Austin, Dell School of Medicine believes he was murdered. So there you go. A true case of disparity is a choice. In a world where people choose their values, some people get shafted by making choices people place no value in. Thank you. I tend to agree with that, Advocate Diabli. In fact, I agree with it 100%. All right, moving on. Now, apparently there's a bill in the House of Representatives that, I'm fascinated by this because this is the United States House of Representatives, and they have a bill they've introduced teaching hate crime prevention to fifth graders. Hello, Gamer Valine. What's up? Nice to have you back. 8 House Democrats sponsored a bill that would introduce taxpayer-funded hate crime prevention and prejudice reduction training into middle and high school classrooms. Oh. I wonder if, no, I'm not going to say it. That's the kind of thing that get me kicked off of YouTube. The Education Against Hate Crime Act of 2021 would empower the Secretary of Education to distribute grants capped at $1.5 million to 5th through 12th grade classrooms. Beginning not later than 1 year after the date of enactment of this act, the Secretary of Education shall award grants on a competitive basis to eligible entities to assist such entities in conducting hate crime prevention and prejudice reduction education for secondary school students and students in middle grades. The bill defines hate crime and prejudice reduction education as intended to prevent, address, deter, and dissuade crimes against persons or an individual's property due to actual or perceived race, color, religion, national origin, ethnicity, gender identity, disability, age, or sexual orientation of any person. The legislation was introduced on April 14, 2021, and has been referred to the Committee on Education and Labor. Hello, Green Badger Outdoors. You're a ridiculous lunatic. Check your logic. And that was 3 different people, not a sentence about Green Badger Outdoors. All right. Let's see let's look at let's just say who wrote this bill. It would happen to be Ms. Velasquez, Carolyn Maloney, Ms. Norton, Miss Espelant, Mr. Clark of New York, Mr. Evans, Mr. Williams of Georgia, Miss Carson. Introducing the follow bill. Oh my God. First of all, I want the federal government out of our schools and stop doing mandates and shit. Go away. Stay out of my school district and stop trying to push BS in my classrooms. Because look, hate crime prevention. You know, we've been having a lot of attack on Asians and Jewish people in the country, mostly in densely populated urban areas. So if you want to have your hate crime prevention training in those heavily populated urban areas, go right ahead. Not a whole lot of hate crimes out here in the suburbs that we know of. Right? Okay, let's keep going. This is, by the way, if you're just getting here, it is Woke Wednesday, and I hope you're enjoying the show so far. If you are enjoying the show so far, and you haven't done so already, please hit the like button because, you know, I don't know, it's supposed to work on something. I should probably start putting what do they call it? They call them, I don't know, hashtags on my streams and stuff. Also, the share button works, and click that. And thank you for those who have been sharing out the show. And I think somebody else just did. Mike Savage, thank you, sir, for retweeting the show. I appreciate that. And if you want to be a sponsor of the show, there's the YouTube Super Chats, Streamlabs donations, where I also read what you write. And there's more information in the description down below. Okay, so apparently there is an anyone watch HGTV here? It's kind of the I don't know what it's supposed to be. Home and Garden Television, I guess it's called. And they have a lot of shows on, you know, decorating and things you can build and shit like that. So anyway, Shannon Brown, who's his Chip Gaines' sister. I'm not really familiar with her. But anyway, I see. HGTV's star's sister elected to fix up a school district plagued by critical race theory. Oh, well, this is interesting. So this is, yes, HGTV does still exist, Annalyn. It does. Home and Garden Sport. Yeah, something like that. By the way, good morning, Annalyn. So anyway, Shannon Brown, sister of Fixer Upper co-host Chip Gaines, won a seat on the Dallas Suburbs School Board Saturday after campaigning to fight the district's use of woke teacher training. Hey! I think we like her already. Brown earned a seat on the Grapevine Colleyville Independent School District Board of Trustees in a June 5th runoff election, winning 52% of the vote. Brown campaigned against the school district's embrace of critical race theory, which she called the single most divisive threat we have in education. She will replace incumbent Mindy McClure, who has sat on the school board for more than 5 years. Parents across the county have attempted to thwart radicalism in education as critical race theory-based lessons have become increasingly common. In May, voters in Southlake, Texas, elected a slate of candidates who oppose anti-racism to city and school board seats. Okay, when they say and when they say anti-racism, they mean the theory of anti-racism, not that they are pro-racism. It's just that this whole teaching mindset is again, it's just a weird way to pit people against each other, and that's not conducive. God, I guess growing up as an 80s kid when we were really truly becoming, I wouldn't say necessarily melting pot, but we were like a really good stew with all different kinds of things and flavors and things inside of it, and the whole nation was kind of becoming a stew where we got along and we complimented each other, we shared and did this and that. And now everything's about, they want to separate everybody. Like, was it too successful that we just, obviously the grievance grifters were not making as much money anymore. And there's a whole new breed of grievance grifter out there that find their ways to line their pockets. Patrice Cullors and Sean King or whatever, Talcum X, whatever. But, and so now it's, and then even the Robin DiAngelo, come on. She's making a killing off of being the woke white liberal. And it's just it's very discouraging. Anyway, good for the school board. Now, here's the only thing I'm concerned about. And there's more in the article about her or whatever. But here's the problem. So Chris Gaines is one of those HGTV stars, fixer-upper guys, and he's very popular. Is this going to come back to bite him in the ass is what I wonder, because his sister is against wokeness, and will they come after him because of it? Because if you remember, I have a story later about someone who made that woke mistake, and after almost 20 years in their job, they're no longer in it because they broke the woke code. All right, let's keep going. And then there's an article. I'm not going to read this one, but I just want to let you know that it's going to be in the links today. So if you are not familiar with the show, or if you're new here, every day at the end of the show, every story that I cover, every video, story, tweet, or whatever, I put them in a single link in. Hang on. Put them in a single link in the description down below. It's called One Tab, and if you read the description right now, it says check here after the show. Today's news links from the show can be found here. Check here after the show. That check here after the show will turn into a link that will have every single story that we've done today in that single link. So if you want to go back and read them, use them for something you're doing. If you're doing a project, if you're doing a blog, if you're doing your own videos, and you want to go, hey, where did Marty get that article from? Well, it'll be in the link in the description down below. So come back later, click the link, check it out, and put a comment in the comment section if you really think about it, because I guess comments in the comment section are important too. All right. So this story in PJ Media is just another one of those where the single best thing America can do to retake America, start with the educational system, because the wokesters have far way overtaken the educational system. Chip's wife is the only reason HGTV is still around. She's on the cover of almost every mag news stand. Plus, he's half Asian, I think, or Hispanic, so he's pretty safe. Well, yeah. I hope so, because you know what? He's related to a right-wing nut. Anyway, so the most frequent question people pose is, what can I or we do to fight back against the nihilistic anti-American destruction of virtually all of the country's major institutions? The answer is the single best thing Americans can do to counter the left-wing attacks on America against its freedom, its schools, its families, its children, its governmental institutions, its sports, its news, its entertainment media, its medical establishment, the CIA, the FBI, the State Department, and the military is to take their children out of American public schools. Oh, I other than STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, the vast majority of America's elementary schools, high schools, colleges, and universities teach your child or grandchild almost nothing important, prematurely sexualize them, thereby robbing them of their innocence, and harm them intellectually and morally. They rarely teach them, for example, art or music, because they're too busy teaching them race-centered hatred of whites, of America, of America's values. Sending your children to most American schools is playing Russian roulette with their values, but unlike the gun in Russian roulette, which has a bullet in only one of its 6 chambers, the school's guns hold 4 or 5 bullets. In many elementary schools, your child is taught that gender is chosen and that there is no difference between boys and girls. A growing number of schools, and the teachers are told not to call their students boys and girls. They are taught about masturbation. And many children from first grade on attend drag queen story hour, where an obvious man wearing women's clothing, garish makeup, and wig entertains them. Given all that as well, you know what? You see where this is going, and it's a good article, but yeah, a lot of it is educating your kids yourself, or just paying attention to what's going on in your kid's school. It's interesting. As my kids were growing up, we would ask them, what's your favorite, our question of the day, every day when they got home from school. What was your favorite thing about school? What's your favorite thing about school today? And what was your least favorite thing about school today? And we just get them to talking about what they did. And my daughter was more volunteering as that went as than my son, because my son's favorite thing every day was lunch. which, that's obviously a boy thing. But our daughter would tell us, some of the things she learned when we asked her that question, or if there was something least favorite, if something happened, then we would always know without necessarily saying, what did you learn today? No, just what was your favorite thing about school today? What was your least favorite? And that question gained a lot of conversation. We learned a lot about what they were doing in school. And, I also guess I learned a lot about what my kids are doing by making sure that my house, or our house, Lady Boomer and I, was the kind of the friend hub for our kids and their friends. So it was always known that the Johnson household was the place to go. And so, especially my son, who had his friends here all the time, our basement was always full of kids, and we always got to talk to them. And we learned a lot about what they learned just by hearing them interact with each other. And but it takes effort to make sure what the schools are teaching your kids, looking at their homework, looking at what they send home, listening to, what they say at parent teachers conferences, or even going to things that have nothing to do with nothing to do with the kids, but that don't involve the kids' participation, such as an occasional school board meeting or teacher meeting or parent, teacher meeting, whatever, assembly. So, and if you are able to, volunteering at schools makes a big difference, because you get to hear everything they're saying, and it gives you an opportunity to question. But if you can, getting some of the stuff that they're learning, it's another thing. There's this big push to pay off student loans, and it's been this big push to have kids go to college all the time. And I go back and I look back at my own personal college experience, and I go, there's so many classes you take just so that you get those credits to graduate that have absolutely no use to you whatsoever and in the future. And it's really is kind of a racket. It's like, for example, my son, who is a computer science major, and he works as a software engineer for a logistics company. And I think of all the courses that he had to take that had nothing to do with that, and especially his senior year, because he went into college with about a semester worth of credits, but to be eligible to play his last season of basketball, he had to take a couple classes. And he wanted to finish out his college basketball career. So he took a couple classes that were just thankfully they were paid for, because he had a full, tuition scholarship. But it was like, what good are those classes going to do you next year? And it's funny, he also said when he got into the job that he's in now, which is a very good job, that even the STEM things that he learned as a computer science major, there were people where he worked that are self-taught coders. There's a couple guys never went to college, some guys who majored in completely different things but also taught themselves to code, and they're employed at that same place. Guys without college degrees that knew how to code, and worked their way through. And he's doing it. So it's like, maybe perhaps just look at if your kids are going to college. I don't think college is not important, but I think it's important to figure out ways to make everything that your kid takes in college worthwhile. And I don't know. Oh, by the way, look who's in the chat. My future son-in-law. Everyone say hi to Jess. That's great advice, PDawg. All the stories today's educational system really worries me about indoctrination, especially K through 12. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy. In fact, let me go stay. I'm going to stay in this article because there is some other good things in here. Given that all this is well known, why do any non-left, meaning liberal or conservative parents, send their children to an American school? One reason is they are in denial. Many parents do not want to know what their children are being taught the consequent damage done to them. They don't really believe schools will ruin their child, let alone their child's relationship with them. You know what? And that's another reason why that we ask that question every day. And I think pretty much all the way into high school, we would ask that question every day of our kids. What was your favorite thing? What was your favorite thing about school today? What was your least favorite? And again, you have to talk to your kids about what they're doing in school. You have to find out what they're being taught, what's in their homework, and you have to ask questions to teachers too. And we just happen to be so fortunate that the teachers our kids had hadn't gone over that cliff yet. I would be really worried if my kids were in elementary school now, much more so than when they were. So. And I think, but it's important no matter what era you live in. So anyway, let's see here. So these parents should speak to any of the millions, yes, millions of Americans whose children have contempt for America, for free speech, and for their parents as a result of attending an American college or even high school. I meet such people at every speech I give, and I speak to them regularly on my radio show that asks these parents if they could redo their lives, whether they would keep their child in school. A second reason is they feel they have no choice. If they remove their child from the local public school or private school, most private schools are just as committed to anti-American indoctrination over education as public schools, what will they do with their child? They often cannot find a local school that does not harm their child. They cannot necessarily even rely on Christian or Jewish schools. Most of them are as woke as most secular schools, and if they find a school that teaches rather than poisons, they may not be able to afford the tuition. The only other option then is to homeschool one's child. The problem is that many parents assume this is essentially impossible. For one thing, they assume that one of the parents would have to leave his or her work, which would mean a serious reduction in the family's income. In addition, homeschooling strikes most people as simply too daunting a task, even if they could afford to take it on. Now, I don't know that that's necessary even. Okay. Although people who are able to homeschool, more power to them. And it's funny. For whatever reason, I am really into this. Is it Scripps who sponsors the big spelling bee now? It's funny because there are always 2 or 3 in the Scripps, like National Spelling Bee. There's always 2 or 3 kids who are homeschooled in those, and I always find it funny that people are so critical of homeschooling, but it's amazing how much probably how much more expectations you have for your kid if you're homeschooling them if they're going to a school. But again, I think it's just important you talk to your kids on the daily about what's happening in their school, and also take a look at their homework, take a look at what they're bringing home. And if you're not happy with that, find a school district that you are happy with. And it's a pain in the ass to have to move or to open a roll or whatever you have to do, but I think it's too important for you and your kids and for America. Fuck yeah. Anyway, that didn't sound very good. All right, let's keep going because I'm running out of time here. So the monuments at the Unite the Right rally. Do you remember Charlottesville, the last great insurrection, so to speak. Anyway, they're finally the city of Charlottesville. The statues there have been repeatedly vandalized since then, and so now the city has decided that they are going to remove those statues. The Charlottesville City Council voted unanimously Monday evening to take down the statues of Confederate Generals Robert E. Lee and Stonewall Jackson from the public parks downtown. More than 50 people reportedly spoke during a virtual public hearing, most expressing the opinion that the statues should come down. The city resolved to remove, relocate, contextualize, or cover the statues. You know what? As long as they voted to do that, fine. That's the city can say that. It's interesting because both Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee were heroes of other wars, and so it's I don't care. I don't really care. Let's just say that. But since the city of Charlottesville voted to take them down, that's fine. That's the people voted to do. fine. I just don't like it when outside agitators decide that they're going to demand that these statues be taken down. That's not their prerogative. The city did it great. All right. And as I mentioned before, and someone did catch this, knew who I was talking about, in the world of cancel culture, Chris Harrison from The Bachelor is now officially no more the host of The Bachelor. Probably could have caught that from my thumbnail today. After the 17th season premiere of ABC's The Bachelorette Monday night, longtime host Chris Harrison is officially exiting stage left from the franchise after cancel culture squeezed him out. Chris Harrison is stepping aside as host of The Bachelor franchise. We are thankful for his many contributions over the past 20 years and wish him best on his new journey. His new journey. You mean the journey where the boot kicked him in the ass and he's on his way out the door? Anyway, good morning, Thomas Cleaver. What's happening? Also, Amy in Connecticut. What's up? His new journey. That's funny. Harrison, who's been with the network for 19 years, announced he was temporarily leaving the Bachelor franchise after he stood up for former Bachelor contestant Rachel Kirkconnell when photos of her surfaced from a plantation-themed fraternity formal in 2018. I haven't talked to Rachel about it, and this again is where we all need to have a little grace, understanding, a little compassion, because I've seen some stuff online, this judge, jury, executioner thing, where people are just tearing this girl's life apart and diving into her parents and her parents' voting record, Harrison said, merely asking for grace for Kirkconnell after the photos went viral. It's unbelievably alarming to watch this. Well, his comment sparked some controversy, and they asked for his head, and he got dumped for the rest of that season, and now he's, what do they call it? Wish him the best on his new journey. Chris, just take the money and run, and FTG to those people. All right, keep on. Pro-Palestinian model Bella Hadid faces backlash after posting photos of 1939 Palestine team that's actually Jews. Pro-Palestine. Okay. The 24-year-old Victoria's Secret model posted a black and white photo on her social media account that showed a soccer team with the message Palestine versus Australia 1939. The post was noted by the Daily Wire, which published a piece Monday. In the snap, we see members of the team wearing uniforms that had the Jewish Star of David emblazoned on them. All team members in the photo were Jewish, the outlet noted. So this is and she wrote Palestine versus Australia. Yeah, so some people said, let's see, Bella Hadid posts a pic of all Jewish football team in mandatory Palestine. The stupidity is unbelievable. Who's this? Wow, Bella Hadid continues to brainwash the minds of millions around the world with lies about Israel and distorting history. But this time she broke records of stupidity. Anyway, so apparently she didn't know what that little Star of David meant on the uniforms there. Now, speaking of, okay, we got woke and we got anti-woke. And apparently, if you've heard Tom McDonald, the internet rapper who's been having great success, he apparently the media is ignoring his new song Snowflakes, which has had 4 million views in like 3 days on YouTube, and I think it's on the Billboard charts or something. Anyway, there's one element of cancel culture on which the left and the right can't agree. Any celebrity discussing the topic, either pro or con, is going to get clicks. Lots and lots of them. We saw that with Seth Rogen's recent comments on the toxic trend, and the same thing's happening with comedian Cat Williams. The phrase cancel culture is a website's owner's dream and a free thinker's nightmare. So you think a viral music video dubbed Snowflakes, referencing cancel culture along with too many other hot-busted issues to count, would generate endless news stories. Well, not in this case. Rapper Tom McDonald's Snowflake video boasts 4.1 million views in just 4 days. That's newsworthy in and of itself. It doesn't stop there, though. Snowflakes tackles Black Lives Matter, the woke generation, socialism, bigotry, trans issues, and more. It's a feat stuffing so many themes into one irresistible song that McDonald's modus operandi, he's also renowned for telling the woke mob off in blunt but humorous terms. The new song, like previous McDonald track, excoriates social justice platitudes, snowflakes, suggests the uber-tolerant crowd can be more bigoted than their opponents. It builds on that philosophy, tackling cancel culture in a way anyone can grasp. And anyway, it's if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It features, I think, isn't it Blair White in that video? I think she is. But he's done other ones. He did one. He did one. Oh yeah, here it is. The video's most provocative element. McDonald pokes fun at pronoun usage, a core part of the trans movement philosophy, while featuring a trans woman in the video. Yes, that's Blair White lip syncing part of the Snowflake song. She is a trans woman who rejects the progressive narratives on BLM and third wave feminism. So where's the media coverage? The outrage headlines, think pieces condemning McDonald for defying the groupthink, perhaps? McDonald has no label to call his own. He's a self-made man, upending the music world on his own terms. Again, that would be catnip for the fair reporter. But, oh, wow. Quick Google search for news for Tom McDonald Snowflakes reveals few right-leaning outlets covering the video's success. That's more or less it. So anyway, yeah, but he's gone after Eminem. He's gone after, he's got this song Fake Woke. That was a pretty good one. Anyway, so check that out. He just drops truth. He's not one side or the other. He's got plenty of music like that. Yes, absolutely. All right. Let's see. Let's get rid of Ace here, because I don't have time to open any more stores anyway. So let's get into some just regular political news. Democrats are pressuring Joe Biden to do something about Joe Manchin. What do we do about a man like Joe Manchin? When are we gonna make him kill the filibuster? Anyone know where that's from? Okay, if you know where that's from, you're either old or you're really into Broadway. Anyway, Senator Joe Manchin is a Democrat serving the very, very red state of West Virginia. He's the only Democrat holding statewide office and the only Democrat in the entire West Virginia delegation. His political career spans nearly 40 years, starting as a state representative in 1982. At that time, West Virginia was a solid blue Democratic state, but as the National Democratic Party moved further left, until it fell off the cliff, Manchin remained a representative of his conservative constituents. Unlike Joe Biden, who abandoned his moderate conservative political beginnings to embrace the radical left, Manchin keeps plodding along, singing the same bipartisan tune he's been pushing for 40 years. West Virginians seem to approve of the bipartisanship, but doubt if it means anything in modern America. Yes, the sound of music. Very good. All right. So anyway, there's people who are just out of their minds about Joe Manchin right now. So conversations with more than 15 West Virginians. This is CNN. Conversations with more than 15 West Virginians the day after Manchin told CNN he has no intent of changing his approach, revealed both a deep respect for Manchin's desire for bipartisanship and growing impatience that questioned whether such an agreement was possible any longer. I think the tweets are the one that tell you the most. So this guy, Mondaire Jones, Manchin's op-ed might as well be titled, "Why I Vote to Preserve Jim Crow." Yeah, the far-left Democrats are enraged. The vitriol they are spewing at Manchin these days is as toxic as anything said about Donald Trump. What they don't realize or ever acknowledge is that Manchin is saving the Democratic Party from itself. As a conservative in a radical liberal party, Manchin is trying to thread the needle between his constituents and the radicals who now want his head, and he knows that the Democrats' voting rights bill will probably cost the Democrats their congressional majorities in 2022, and they would be hard-pressed to beat Trump or any other Republican in 2024. So there's just stuff from the Wall Street Journal. But anyway, they're trying to pressure Joe Biden into doing something about Joe Manchin. Speaking of Manchin, he says he won't budge on the voting bill opposition. Good for him. That's a terrible bill, and it's just, in fact, first of all, it's unconstitutional. No need to read that one. And then let's see. Now this is what I really hadn't heard much about. So Senator Capito accuses White House officials of walking back her agreement with Biden. So Republican West Virginia Senator Shelley Moore Capito accused the White House officials Tuesdays of walking back an initial agreement she had with President Joe Biden on an infrastructure package. Biden very clearly agreed to $1 trillion over 8 years, and you can include baseline spending. Now it was walked back by a staff shortly, several days later. Yes, that was true. We were writing to what the president said he would negotiate to, Capito told Fox News' Brett Baer on Tuesday. Baer then pressed Capito on if she believed there was a disconnect between Biden and his staff. He did mention those specifics that I mentioned before. Capito responded there was a subsequent conversation with the staff where it was made clear this all has to be all new. Okay, this has to be all new. This is a very awkward sentences. Hello, T-Ball and Faithless. How you doing? Anyway, so here's the thing.
You know the thing.
I don't know. So if she was talking directly to Biden and negotiating with Biden, answer this question. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Joe Biden actually remembers anything he talks to anyone about. And number 2, do you think that Biden's staff has more? Oh, wait a minute. That's 1. These are 2 different questions. Do you think Biden can remember anything that he talked to about with anyone himself? And 2, do you think Biden has more power or Biden's staff has more power? So there are 2 separate questions. First one, does Biden remember anything he talks about to anybody? And number 2, who has more power, Biden or his staff? just a question. You know what I mean? All right. Okay, I see what's happening. Okay, 2. Okay, I got you. I'm assuming you mean his staff. Okay, I'm just gonna stop because that didn't make sense. All right. Hey, why hasn't Kamala Harris been on the border? We've been asking that question a lot lately. And watch Jen Psaki turn it. Listen. So first of all, y'all heard this one yesterday.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border.
Wait, we who? We who, white girl? Who? Oh, wait, she's not a white girl. We who been to the border, Ms. Harris? Vice President Harris? You were at the border when Donald Trump was president because you're down there protesting. But you haven't been there since you've been vice president. I'm just saying. And maybe you're the border czar. Maybe you could be the virtual border czar or something. Is that what you're going with? Anyway,
this whole thing about the border. We've been to the border.
Oh.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
I haven't been.
I forgot. I didn't laugh at this yesterday, but it's still funny. Look. We've been to the border. We've been to the border. We've been to the border. Now, listen to her answer to you haven't been to the border.
To the border. So this whole thing about the border. We've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe.
Who's the we that's been to the border then? We who? We who has been to the border? I didn't even catch that yesterday when I was listening to that. We've been to the border. We've been to the border. We've been to the border. We've been to. Well, you haven't been to the border. Well, I haven't been to Europe either. Anyway, here's Jen Psaki's take on this. This is fantastic.
Got another on the vice president visiting the border or not visiting the border. Republicans and conservatives are, going crazy on Twitter.
Oh, wait a minute. Republicans and conservatives are those the only people that are going crazy on this about her not going to the border? It's funny because these news reporters. There was a news reporter yesterday. Who was asking her in a press conference. They asked, well, I wonder if I have this one. Anyway, they asked her the press. She started a question like this. She said, "Vice President Harris, I am so proud that this is, I've just been naturalized as a citizen. This is the first election that I've been able to vote in, and I voted for you. And then she goes into her question. I'm like, wait a minute. So you mean like 99.9% of the rest of the press that probably voted for her? Anyway, here's the question.
They're sending pictures, sending video of her interview with Lester Holt, saying, I've not been to Europe either.
Hey, is it newsworthy though? Come on. This question it's a leading question to give Psaki some air, right? But listen to this question.
President think there is a scenario in which she should visit the border, and also the mounting...
Wait a minute. Does the president think there's a scenario in which she should visit the border? Okay. Kamala Harris has been appointed by the President of the United States to be a sort of border czar. Like, she's in charge of the border. Border czar, she's in charge of the border, the situation at the border, the vastly devastating crisis that we're having at the border right now, where 5 times as many immigrants have been crossing the border as during the last administration. Facilities at 700% capacity. The President of the United States appointed Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States, to be in charge of the border. And this reporter asks this question.
Scenario in which she should visit, scenario saying, I've not been to Europe either.
This question, does the president
think there is a scenario in which she should visit the border, and also the mounting criticism from conservatives? Would that ever factor into a decision to send her down there? I mean, don't...
Stop right there. Border czar. In charge of the border. Does the president think there's a scenario where she should visit the border? Things that make you go, Listen to Jen Psaki's answer.
They have a point that if she has this task in front of her, should she not see the end cause as well as the root cause of
Well, first, as I said to Peter, at some point she may go to the border. I don't have any trips to preview for you or predict or a timeline for that. But what I would reiterate is that her assignment was to work with countries and leaders in the Northern Triangle to address root causes, address corruption, ensure we're working together to address humanitarian.
Address corruption. So we're going to throw money at them because they're addressing corruption. We're just going to send them more money so they can take that money and be more corrupt. Oh my God. It makes my head hurt.
And concerns. I will say we're not taking advice from former President Trump or most of the Republicans who are criticizing us on this.
Well, maybe you should, because the flow across the border was so much more manageable under the last president. Whether you liked his solutions or not, it sure seemed to work a lot better than it is now.
And they were all sitting there while we created this problem we walked into, both at the border.
Whoa, walked into? You mean the significant increase in border traffic after the inauguration than before? Like by multiples of many? Whose situation you walked into?
With the movement of migration that has been growing over the last year. So we're
over the last year? No. Not over the last year. because the migration had almost stopped. The facilities, they were getting down to the facilities were almost empty until after the inauguration. And then suddenly there were people at the border with Biden signs. Here we come. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
Taking our guidance and advice from them, but if it is constructive and it moves the ball forward for her to visit the border, she certainly may do that. Go ahead.
Okay, there you go. We'll stop. How do I stop this? Hang on, stop. No, I'll just.
Okay.
Do you have any plan?
Okay, that's the same question. Anyway, all right, let's finish up here. Everyone, how many of you remember Terry McAuliffe? Terry McAuliffe, Clinton advisor, former governor of Virginia. Well, the Virginia Democrats are bringing back ex-governor Terry McAuliffe as a candidate for governor. Apparently, Governor Blackface or Klan outfit, whichever one he was in that picture, is not going to be governor anymore. So former Governor Terry McAuliffe won the Virginia Democratic primary in a blowout Tuesday and will now face off against Republican Glenn Youngkin in the race to replace Governor Ralph Blackface, who is term limited and cannot seek re-election this year. Oh, it's because of his term limit. Anyway, yay, Terry McAuliffe could be back. Oh, good Lord. If you know who he is, great. If you don't, read the article. And also, now this is a Michael Goodwin at the New York Post saying it'd be a crime if New York City's next mayor is not the anti-de Blasio. It's with apologies to Mark Twain, there's a reason to hope the reports about New York City's death are premature. The hope comes from a poll showing a near majority of likely voters in the Democratic primary say crushing crime is job number one for the next mayor. Granted, that shouldn't be a surprise in light of the gruesome tally of murder and mayhem, but the results are uplifting because too many people in Gotham, especially Democrats, have been slow to understand how pervasive crime and disorder are and how they are jeopardizing the city's recovery from the pandemic. Many with bleeding hearts have convinced themselves the gunslingers and gangbangers are guilty only of making misguided cries for help. Against the tide of delusion, it counts as very good news that 46% of respondents tell New York One Ipsos pollsters that stopping the violence must be the next mayor's top priority. Welcome to the real world. Who knows who that's by? The next step. Okay, so anyway, there's a whole bunch of people running for mayor, but there are a couple conservatives running in New York. It'll be interesting. The New York City mayor's race is going to be very interesting. Let's see. The next step is Eric Adams tops the candidate field in the poll because he's promising to be a forceful in combating crime. A retired cop himself, Adams is seen as having credibility to keep this promise. He gets just 22%, but that's good enough to put him in front by 6 points over Andrew Yang, 7 over Kathy Garcia. Interesting, New York One goes the extra step of simulating results based on what respondents say about their additional pick in the ranked choice system and concludes Adams would ultimately prevail. It is possible that some of Adams' support might come from the fact that he also has been a fierce critic of the NYPD, as Heather McDonald points out in the City Journal. That background means he's not universally popular with the NYPD. One of the reasons from this disputed testimony in the 2013 federal trial on stop and frisk, where Adams claimed to have heard then top cop Ray Kelly say twice that we stop African Americans and Hispanic youths because we want to instill the fear in them that every time they leave their home, they can be stopped and searched by the police. It would be completely out of character for Kelly to say such a thing, not to mention stupid. He vehemently denies the claim, and as do others who attended the meetings where Adams says he heard the statement, yet the federal judge cited the testimony in her decision against the city, McDonald writes. Still, Adams emerges as the front runner has been seen in the context of the last 2 years. New Yorkers have suffered under the worst mayor in modern times, and perhaps the worst mayor ever. And despite the city's reputation for being populated by 8 million aggressive know-it-alls, there was no revolution, only grumbling and a race for the exits. This guy, if they consider him the anti de Blasio, then hey, I hope New Yorkers vote for him. They need to get their shit together in New York. New York Times, Mara Gay. Oh gosh, I'm gonna leave this. This woman. Let's see if we can. Let's see. Let's listen to her. Here's Mara Gay from the New York Times.
We have to figure out how to get every American a place at the table in this democracy, but how to separate Americanness.
Okay. First of all, she starts out, we've got to get every American to the table, but then she immediately goes into how we're going to separate. It's the philosophy right now. How do we separate people?
America from whiteness.
From
Until
whiteness.
we can confront that
yes,
and talk about that, this is really going to continue. I was on Long Island this weekend visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with, explicatives against Joe Biden on the.
What's an explicative? What the fuck's an explicative? Oh, wait. Expletive. Expletive. Oh, is it like fuck Biden? Oh, because you've never heard a song about Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Never heard that song before, huh? Oh, God. Oh, an expletive against the President of the United States. Oh, where's my crying towel?
On the back of them, Trump flags. And some cases, just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially the message was clear. It was, this is my country.
American flags! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Your country. I own this.
Oh gosh. American flags. So disturbing. This is my country, not your country. No, it isn't. It just means that we're proud of the country. Okay? I mean, that's, God. Woke City. And then of course the New York Times defend Mara Gay's comments about the American flag and white Trump supporters. The New York Times defended defended editorial board member Mara Gay Tuesday after she referred to American flags on display in Long Island as disturbing. The New York Times editorial board member Mara Gay's comments on MSNBC have been irresponsibly taken out of context. Really? Have they now? Out of context? I watched most of that interview. It was not out of context. Her argument was that Trump and many of his supporters have politicized the American flag. No, they're just happy to fly it. Good Lord. Good Lord. The attacks on her today are ill-informed and grounded in bad faith, the New York Times Public Relations Department tweeted. Yeah, no, they weren't. Whatever. In the feel-good story of the day, two Hamas Gaza terrorists blow themselves up dismantling unexploded Israeli ordnance. The brigade mourns its fighter Ahmed Abu Hasiri and Azama Janina and said they died after a blessed life full of struggle and sacrifices, says Allah Almighty, asking Allah Almighty to accept them as martyrs, bestow his mercy upon them, and make his paradise their eternal dwelling. According to Palestine Information Center, two Hamas resistance fighters were killed when dismantling unexploded Israeli ordnance from the recent fighting. I shouldn't call that the feel-good story of the day. That's not very nice of me. Oh, speaking of which, also in Hezbollah co-founder who survived a book bomb dies of stupid 19. That's not, you know what? I don't celebrate people's deaths, but I shouldn't even added the button there, but I did, didn't I? Yeah, he had a role in the 1883 bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut and had survived a book bombing allegedly carried out by Israeli intelligence agency Mossad in 1984. And he's lived a good long life, and now he's succumbed to COVID-19. So that's unfortunate. Excuse me. All right, and in the tabs, jobs openings soar as record high as businesses struggle to find workers. Millions of April postings went unfilled amid a labor shortage. because some people are making more staying at home. U.S. job openings reached a record high in April, a reflection of the ongoing labor shortage that economists blame in part on the Biden administration's enhanced employment benefits. Job openings jumped to 9.3 million in April, the highest level on record since 2000, according to the Tuesday Labor Department report. U.S. businesses, however, struggled to find workers to fill them. Employers hired just 6.1 million people in the same month, leaving 1 in 3 openings vacant. A lot of people are not going back to work, and I think some of these states that ended that extra benefit are going to see people going back to work. And then what'll happen, though, they'll do that, and then the Biden administration will brag about how many jobs they created, because I saw a post by Biden the other day where I was like, oh, yeah, well, Trump, this many jobs, and we've created 2.1 million new jobs. Well, those are people just going back to work from COVID-19, you dumbass. But anyway, that's not a good thing. People need to get their asses back to work, and I don't know how they're making it. Speaking of which, now here's why perhaps some American airline workers may not be going back to work. American Airlines asked workers to volunteer for no pay during the summer travel surge. What? American Airlines. I hope this doesn't, and I really hope this doesn't spread to other airlines, seeing as my daughter works for an airline. American Airlines is asking its employees to volunteer their time in order to help with the increase in summer travelers over the summer. The airline is requesting that its headquarters employees volunteer at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport this summer as more people head out of the town to travel after the pandemic. As we look forward to welcoming back more of our customers this summer, we know that they're counting on us to deliver reliable operations and help them feel comfortable as they return after many months away from traveling. American Airlines spokesman Sarah Jantz said in a statement per the Tampa Bay Times. That's something our frontline teams are experts on as they regularly go above and beyond to take care of our customers. To ensure they have the support they need this summer and beyond, our corporate support teams will provide additional support at DFW. According to the Times, American Airlines isn't making its workers volunteer, but if they do give up their time, they won't be paid for their additional effort. They also must work the extra hours when they are not carrying out their regular requirements. I personally would tell them, nah. All right. Baltimore Tea Party. Businesses refuse to pay taxes as public safety crashes? What? This is who's this guy? This is Brian Preston, who's saying, when I lived in Baltimore, I used to joke about that Charm City, as the city called itself, should be honest and drop that first C. Harm City. Harm in the form of violent crime was terrible, and it was everywhere. And there were open-air drug markets in the mid-sized city, and so much history with great potential. And such great potential was often called the murder capital of the United States. This was the day of the infamous Stop Snitching DVD, warnings against going to police to inform against criminals or for any other reason. The Baltimore sage H.L. Mencken said, for every complex problem, there's an answer that is clear, simple, and wrong. And so it was with defunding the police and its ideological companion, critical race theory. Defunding the police was a simple-minded attempt to grapple with complex problems, not all of which are real and not all of which have government solutions. Critical race theory is just as simple-minded and as toxic as Baltimore's inner harbor occasionally becomes. The last thing that Baltimore needed was to have its police defunded, but the mayor and city council followed the far-left activist agitators off a cliff in 2020, and homicide in Harm City shot up. No pun intended. No, the pun was intended. Businesses in historic and trendy Fells Point are feeling the effects directly, and after the city has failed to listen and do its job, they're fighting back with a tax revolt. Hey, good for them. Call it the Baltimore Tea Party. More than 36 Fells Point business owners have sent letters to Baltimore leadership, including Mayor Brandon Scott, City Council President Nick Mosby, Councilman Zeke Cohen, State Attorney Marilyn Mosby, and Police Commissioner Michael Harrison. What's happening in our front yard, the chaos and lawlessness that has escalated this weekend into another night of tragic, unspeakable gun violence has been... Okay, stop calling it gun violence. It's people violence, and they use guns. It's people violence. Stop it. has been going on far too long, a portion of the letter says. The letter demands that city leaders restore basic essential municipal services, including trash pickup, enforcement of traffic and parking laws through tickets and towing, stopping illegal open-air alcohol and drug sales, and empowerment of police to responsibly do their jobs. The business owners threatened to withhold tax and permit payments, placing those funds in an escrow account if the city doesn't respond to their request. So good for them. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's see. The other two articles I'm not going to get to. One, the Justice Department is going to change its body camera policy. Apparently, the federal agents are going to need to wear body cameras. What is this? Let's see. Anyway, they're committed to the use of body cameras for federal officials too. Today, based on recommendations from the department's law enforcement components, I am directing the acting director of Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearm and Explosives, the acting commissioner of Drug Enforcement Administration, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the director of the United States Marshal Service to develop and submit for review within 30 days component BWC policies. Body-worn cameras, by the way, that require agents to wear and activate body-worn cameras, recording equipment for purposes of recording their actions during one pre-planned attempt to serve an arrest warrant and other pre-planned arrests, including the apprehension of fugitives sought on state and local warrants or the execution of a search and seizure warrant order. Now, I'm pretty sure that may be coming on the heels of the guy that the Marshal Service shot in Minneapolis and caused more riots in Minneapolis, even though the guy pulled, visibly pulled a gun on them. Anyway. Oh yeah, Hunter Biden said the N-word. You'll hear about that all day, yesterday and today. Finally, and then Hunter Biden, the Biden crime family. Hunter Biden facilitated a deal for Democratic consultants now under federal investigation. Emails show Biden served as a conduit between Burisma Holdings and Blue Star Strategies. I'll just leave that article in the end because it's time for me to go. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. I just realized that I'm way over time, as I often do, but I try to give you as much as I can and as much as I got, even when I'm late on a day like today. So let's do this. If you haven't done so already, please, please, please hit the like button because I don't know, it does something. And leave a comment in the comment section. Come back, leave a comment in the comment section. Share the stream out. Even though the stream's over, you can still share this to your friends and family. And if you'd like to be a sponsor of the show, you can do that through Cashapp, Venmo, YouTube SuperChats, and Streamlabs. No sponsors of the show today, but that's okay. Look, the show is free. It helps when you do it, but if you don't, I'm good too. We appreciate all you can do. And everyone who participates in chat, everyone hits a like button, everyone who shares the stream, you are all just as valuable to me. Thank you. That's to me, that's sponsoring the show too, because you make the show a little bit better than it already is. So I appreciate every one of you. That's it for today though, people. After the outro's over, check back in the description if you want to click on any of those articles. They'll be in one single link. And that's all I got for today. So I think that's it. Thanks for being here. My name is PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.